Well, after that brooding intro, let's see what we have here. So this is the game designed and made by me. It's called Swashbucklers, Shadows over Tortuga. We are inside the virtual environment of Tabletop Simulator, and as you can see, this is how it looks like. Here is the main table, and on that table the game is set. And all the physics work just fine, like in the real life. Like I can pick up pieces and set them where I want to. I can roll dices, see. I can shuffle decks, take the cards, play with them, do whatever I want. But let's quickly go over the introduction. So, Shadows over Tortuga, as the name suggests, is the mix of two themes. Pirates of the Caribbean and writings of the H.P. Lovecraft in one word, Cthulhu. Now, Swashbucklers in front of the name is because this is just like first of many games set in this setting, basically. Our adventure could be anything we want to. This actually starts on the ship. But later I was thinking to add some expansions and introduce new stories as the time goes by, and so the players can play different campaigns. The first adventure or campaign is have a 3 acts, and each act has some peril cards you need to finish, and you need to go through all 3 acts to win the game, and win in every act to actually win the campaign. So first, simply we're gonna pick up character and equip him with the weapons and items he can use. Then we're gonna try to finish each act. Well, for this playthrough later, which we're gonna do, we're just gonna play the first act. Game, as I said, has a three acts, and each act is different because it has a different starting condition and represents different surroundings. And during the adventure you will fight monsters, you're gonna lose your sanity, you're gonna lose your health, you're gonna gain some conditions, mental and physical conditions, and you probably die a lot. This game is a co-op, so expect it to be a pretty hard, because as you know, in the co-op games there's many things that can go wrong for you, and it's you can win like only doing one thing while you can die in multiple stuff. So yeah, let's see. So I'm gonna prepare everything. I'm gonna just set up the game. Let's move all these characters. I'm gonna choose the character later and place them here on this table. Okay, these are character tokens. Okay, let's take the main board, set it here, lock it into place. I'm gonna set this thing actually here. I'm gonna take this ball. It's actually locked. I need to move it everything together. Alright, so let's set this here. Alright, what I need is a terror deck. One peril card, I'm gonna place it here. I'm gonna shuffle terror deck and place it near the peril card. Let's move this act board here, lock it in place. We have a deck of spells, Act 1 monsters, because every act has its different monsters. We're gonna shuffle them and place it here. I'm just placing everything to be easier to reach and use later. So we're gonna need our action deck here. Class deck we're not gonna use right now because I actually already took what I need to use. So we have some physical conditions, so mental conditions. Let's put it with the deck space here, and let's put the gear deck here. Alright, so now I'm gonna play a solitary game in which you can pick 2 heroes and play with both of them. Usually this is a game for 4 players, so you actually can play with all 4 heroes if you want, even in the solitary, but for this playthrough I'm just gonna pick 2. So I already decided to take the Lord Baltimore and this Angelica Amazon girl. So everything else I'm just gonna delete because we're not gonna use it in this playthrough. And I also need their tokens. So here's the Lord Baltimore and here's the Angelica. Let's delete the rest. And whatever you do in this mode, you can actually rewind. There's a button that can do that if you delete something you don't want to. Alright, so let me explain quickly about the heroes, and then we're gonna continue. Okay, as you can see, I took already 2 heroes. So I have choose Lord Baltimore. He has a soldier. You can see his class in the top part of the character sheet, written in red. He has 7 hit points. He do 2 damage with his bare hands. Has a combat skill of 6. Has a lore of 2, and has his sanity checks of 5. And he also, as you can see, this like 3 boxes. This is his inventory spaces which he can fill with weapons and items. He has one special ability that he can do only once per act. As you can see, it says, as an action, Lord Baltimore can perform critical strike against any monster using a combat roll. If he succeeds, that monster is instantly killed. Basically, he can kill one monster without rolling, with one roll, basically. And this number 3 in the gold like circle, this is his skill tokens. I'm gonna explain that later. On the second, we have also Angelica, which is class Amazon. He has 6 hit points. Also, she can do 2 damage with bare hands. Has the same combat of 6, lore of 4, and sanity of 4. And her special ability is a Child of the Wild, so once per act Angelica can pass 1 peril test without rolling a die. I'm gonna see how that works later, I'm gonna explain it. And she also has 3 skill points and 3 places where she can place her items. Now, when you set your characters, you also get these class cards. I already took them from the decks, so she's an Amazon. So let's see, this is something more your class can do. So Amazon, she's experienced, stubborn, and savage. Experience means that she has a +1 to lore when performing peril terror card tests. So when doing those tests, her lore is actually 5. She also has a +1 to willpower when performing terror tests, so her willpower is also high. And has a +2 to combat with using melee weapons, which is really good because she is a melee fighter. And starting items, she can take 2 of the following from the gear deck, and there's like a listing of the stuff you can choose at the beginning of the act, but for this act I already took a tomahawk, and I'll explain why I took only 1 item. So we're gonna place the item on her item space. And for the Lord Baltimore, he's a soldier. As you can see, he's fast, he's a marksman, and stubborn. He can spend 1 skill token to perform a move action once per turn. That's some special thing he can do. He has a +1 to combat when using ranged weapons, and has a +1 to willpower when performing terror peril test. So for him, I took the cutlass. I'm gonna place it here on this on inventory space. And as you can see, damage output for him right now is 4, because when you are using melee weapons, it is your damage you can do with your bare hands plus the damage the cutlass does. So he can do 4 points of damage. And in case of the Angelica, it's basically the same. You can see 2 + 2, that's 4. And the weapon can be only used in player's area. I'm going to explain how that works. And native characters have +1 additional damage with this weapon, but Angelica is not a native character, he's an Amazon. That's just for the native class. Alright, so after we took our heroes, we're gonna place them on this board here. So let's say Lord Baltimore is here and Angelica is right beside him. Now this is the main board where we're gonna have like monster centering in these areas. As you can see, player have a area in front of him where he can fight, and these little circle of places are connected with, as you can see, with these arrows. So if you want to move from one area to another, you can do it only if it's connected with arrows. So I can't move here. So for me to be able to get here, I need to move like this and this. So Lord Baltimore here, Angelica is here. And this is how it works actually. If you have a melee weapons, you can only attack stuff in your area unless you have actually some kind of an effect that can allow your melee weapon to be used even to adjacent areas. So I took both for them melee weapons, Tomahawk and Cutlass. They can be only used, as you can see on the card. It actually has a writing. It says Cutlass. This weapon can only be used in player's area, and it's used by one hand. And the Tomahawk also can be only used in player's area. So during the game, you're gonna move like this is like your combat, combat settings. So you can move around, circle around, and fight enemies as they enter your area. Alright, so after that, we're gonna take some action cards. You get number of players +1. So in this case, I have 2 players. I'm gonna shuffle and take 3 cards. We place them face up here. Also, not to forget, you see each character has a skill tokens, so I need to give them those. Okay, each of them starts with 3 skill tokens, and I'm going to explain how you can use them. Alright, so how this works? Well, to test any of your skill, you're gonna roll a d10 die, and you need to roll even or less. So for instance, if I want to hit something, I use my combat skill. So I need to roll 6 or less on a d10 die. But I have these skill tokens which can be used for 2 things. One thing is I can spend a skill token to boost one of my characteristics. So for instance, before I roll, I can spend a skill token to boost my combat. So let's say I spend 1, then my combat is going to be 7. Or if I spend 2, my combat is going to be 8. So it's going to be easier for me to get an 8 on the d10. See, I got a 6, so I pass. Now this skill token is going to be replenished at the beginning of each player's turn, so don't worry about it. Also, another thing you can use these skill tokens is to buying these action cards. As you can see, these action cards have a cost on a card here. And this is something you can take on your board or in your hand. You're gonna spend skill token, take the card. Let's say I bought this card for that actually costs 2. I would like to spend 2 skill tokens, and during your turn you can play this card whenever you want, and it doesn't cost an action or anything. So buying and playing cards doesn't cost an action. As we are talking about action, let me explain what you can do during your turn. So each player has 3 actions he can do. So action is movement, so you can move from one connected space to another. Or when I'm moving, if I want to move where the Angelica stands, I'm just going to exchange places like this. So that's one action you can do. Another action can be attack. I can attack something in my area. Another action I can do, actually we have here a board with a listing of all actions we can do during the turn. So I can attack monster with my bare hands using range or melee weapon. I can draw a new action card, so if I want to fill this, I need to spend an action to do that, because this is always you have 3 action cards and they don't get refilled unless you do it with your action. Also I can ready my character. I'm gonna explain how that works, and I can reload my flintlock weapons, because ranged weapons, if you fire them, you need to reload them. As an action, I can also exchange items from my inventory with a player that is adjacent to me, or I can build a barrier inside my area. Well, barriers, these tokens, they look like this. You place them inside your area, and whenever enemy attacks you, he actually needs to destroy barrier first, before dealing damage to you, because we don't have any shields. If we get attacked, we're gonna get damaged right away, unless there's a barrier in front of us. Also, we can do a component action using like some spell cards that has an action written on them. These characters I choose actually do not use spells, but I can show you how the spells look like. So let's see here. We have a spell called Ward Against the Dark, and it's incantation spell. So you just test your lore, and there's a pass and fail effect. Now, incantation doesn't cost an action to do, but there are some spells like rituals, you see, that have a writing action. And if they have a writing action, you actually need to spend one of your 3 actions to do so. Now, before we start, one of our characters needs to be the leader. So we represent this with this little torch here. So I'm gonna choose the Lord Baltimore to be the leader of this party. Now, how this works? During the game, if the leader dies, you lose the game momentarily. So the leader is your most important hero. Now, one more thing about the leaders is there are some conditions, act conditions, that doesn't apply to them. I'm going to explain that, and I'm going to show how it works as we go on. So now that we know everything about the characters and how they testing their skill by just rolling a dice, let's see this act tile and this peril card, because this is most important thing to do. So I'm just going to read you some flavor text here that has a story and what happened. So it says like this: it happened during the night. Black ship came from nowhere. Cannon fire, musket blasts, shouts. Our vessel was sunk so fast that many sailors met their doom asleep. Few of us somehow were spared, clinging to what was left of our ship. Poor salvage was consistent of little that we could steal from the greedy ocean's hands. We floated for days, bashed by a rough sea. Starvation ravaged our bruised bodies, and we started to lose last ounces of hope. Then strange mists came and witted horrors from the depths. So as you can see, there are 2 red writings, salvage and starvation. And if you see in this chart here, it's special condition chart. Salvage means all players start with 1 less item in their inventory. That's why in the beginning I only took 1 weapon for each character, because usually you start with 2. Also, we have a starvation, so that means all players start exhausted. And now it's a good time to explain you ready and exhausted tokens. So we place them on our characters. So for this scenario, we're gonna start exhausted. But as you can remember, heroes can choose to not take the conditions of the scenario. So I can actually stay ready, and I can also take 1 more item. So let's do that. Let's take 1 more item. Okay, but item must be something from the class card. So let's see, I have an option to take the flintlock pistol, old musket, cutlass I already took. I can take a simple hat, bandage, torch, food ration, or powder flask. So I'm gonna actually take the flintlock pistol. Why? Because old musket is the weapon that is used with both hands, so which means during my fight I must choose, either I'm gonna use the cutlass or I'm gonna use the old musket. I can't use them both. But if I take the flintlock pistol, I can use cutlass in one hand and the flintlock pistol in the other. So let's take that, and this is the long, this is just, let me check, it says just flintlock pistol, so let's find that thing here. Okay, flintlock pistol, here it is. This game has a really neat search function that you can apply to any deck. Alright, let's see the flintlock pistol. As you can see, it doesn't have a +2 sign of damage on it. So basically, pistol always does the 3 damage. And its weapon range is one adjacent area, so it doesn't have really good range. Usually with the ranged weapons you can shoot in any area where you want, in front of you, adjacent or not adjacent, but this flintlock pistol I can shoot in front of me, in this area here and in this area here, so only in adjacent areas. And it has a lead ball, powder, blah blah blah. But what I need to do is take ammo token and place it on the pistol. Now every time I discharge this weapon I'm gonna flip this token, and after that I need to spend an action to reload it, and that's how the ranged weapons works. You have an option to shoot in the other areas, but you have to pay for that option by reloading and losing one action for reload. But this gun actually now starts already loaded, so that's okay. Alright, so let me explain these ready exhaustion tokens. So as long as your character is ready, and let's say you need to do really important roll and you fail on it, like let's say I need a 6, I get a 9, or 10, I fail the roll. Well, you can exhaust yourself just by flipping the token, and when you exhaust yourself you immediately pass that roll. Basically you win the roll. That's how it works. Now the thing is, as long as you exhausted, all your statistics are -1. So my combat is 5, my lore is only 1, and willpower is only 4. To get ready again, I need to spend an action. So I'm gonna lose an action during second turn just by, readying myself. But it's a good option when you need to pass some test, so you can always exhaust yourself. Another way you can use your ready or exhaustion token is every character has 3 actions, but you can exhaust yourself and get one more action during that turn. So that's an option for you if you really want to do something during a turn. You can always exhaust yourself. But as I said, Angelica is gonna start exhausted from the starvation, and she can have only 1 item, but I'm a hero. Conditions, those act conditions does not apply for me, so I'm gonna be ready, and I have a flintlock pistol here. So that setup is already done. Now I just need to explain this act card, this tile and this peril card. So let's see what we have here. We have a one turn track, so we have like 12 turns, I think. No, actually 10 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 turns to finish this act. If we don't do this in 10 turns, we lose the game. Basically, we don't win the act, and the campaign is over. So special rules for this act is player starts on the raft. Raft has 4 barrier tokens, so let's place them here on this tile like this. If raft is destroyed, players lose the game. So imagine this like our ship got sunk, we clinging to this raft, and the creatures that we're gonna meet from the sea is gonna also attack us, but they have ability in this scenario to also attack our raft and destroy it. Now good thing is that we have an option to place a barrier in our area, but we also can fix our raft with the same action that we place the barrier, so that's not a problem. So you see here it says when monster special sign is rolled, ignore the text of the effect, remove 1 barrier token instead. So let me show the monster die. This is how it looks like. It has some white strikes and red strikes, but on the number 6 you have these tentacles. When you get the tentacles, that's a special option special attack that monster can do? Well, in this scenario, it's going to actually destroy one of the barriers. Now, this number 6 here is the number of these success tokens we need to gather to pass the scenario. If you have less than 6, you don't pass the scenario. Simple as that. And the number 2 is the number of the monsters that will attack the raft, that will spawn at the beginning of each turn. So this is only for this scenario. Different acts or scenarios have a different settings. Alright, so how we do this? How we actually pass the whole scenario? Well, we have these peril cards, and I can show you how they look like. You see, Act 1 Monster from the Deep. And each peril card has these little quests we need to do. So let me show you that in zoom out. So as you can see, first quest says we have like number 3 with the skull, and we get 1 success token for it. What this means is we need 3 trophy tokens. This is the trophy tokens to get 1 success token. Now trophy tokens, I can show you how they look like. Here they are. So this is a trophy token. You get a trophy token every time you kill 1 monster. So basically we first need to kill 3 monsters, and then we can exchange these 3 trophies for 1 success. And then all players need to pass the willpower, and if we do that, we're gonna get 1 more success. Now after that, if we spend 4 trophy tokens, we can actually level up. This XP experience here sign means we can level up. So these are 3 quests we can do during this peril to finish this peril cards. We can actually need to do all of them, although when you play solitary, for each peril card you can choose for 1 quest to strike out. Like you can choose one of these to not done, and you need to choose it before you actually start the working on the peril card. So for this thing, as you can see, we actually need to kill 7 monsters. Now we're gonna get 2 monsters each turn. So to kill 7, well, we can do it up to this turn if we are really good, you know. So I'm not sure I should take this level up thing quest. So I'm gonna strike this out. And you can do this when you play solitary with only 2 players. And also you can do the same thing when you playing with only 3 players. But when you play with 4 players, you can't strike this out, because 4 players have actually they get more monsters. That's how the game scales. It's toughness. So I decided to strike this out. So I just need to kill 3 monsters and do a willpower for pass the willpower test with all players during the same turn, and then I'm gonna get 2 success tokens out of 6. Now if you check other peril cards, you'll see there are more stuff you need to do. Now this peril card will give me 3 possible success tokens. So if I take 2 here and 3 here, I'm gonna have 5, and then I just need 1 more to have, you know, for the scenario. But don't forget, I also need to finish every little quest on the peril cards, or at least all those quests that I didn't strike through. Now in solitary game, as I said, you can choose one to strike down. You can actually choose to strike down 2 if you want to, but yeah, in solitary game with only 2 players you can strike 2, with 3 players you can strike 1, but with the 4 players you can't strike any of them. So this will help us a bit, because the peril card is going to be easier to do. Alright, so now that we have our players on the board, I'm also going to place a little marker. You can actually use the trophy marker that we on the turn 1. And everything is set up. Basically I just need to spawn monsters, and then we can go through the scenario try to do this, and we're gonna do this in the next video. So thanks for watching. You're gonna see how this game works, and I'm gonna explain it as I play. For now, you just know that we are on the raft. We have our two heroes. Lord Baltimore is the leader of the group. We have our skill tokens, we have our weapons, and we are ready to fight for our lives, trying to get through all the perils. Right now some monsters gonna get us from the deep sea, and who knows what's gonna spawn from this deck here and enter the areas, so we must fight it. So that's it. In the next video we're gonna actually play a few turns. Thanks for watching, and that's it.